Are you a beach kind of person? Do you like the surf and the ocean and everything? And I don't, but hey, if you're in Sierra Leone, they're famous for their beaches, so you have to go to a beach. Well, they're kind of covered with garbage. And that's not me being mean. Well, okay, I probably am being mean saying that. But hey, if you go to Sierra Leone, expect to see a lot of garbage. Except a few of the beaches, they understand this concept of cleanliness, or at least Westerners appreciate that. And so they really work hard to clean up their small little beaches there. And so they're beautiful. They're really, really nice. And it's just so gorgeous. Really nice people. And they're very proud of their clean beaches there. But every once in a while, you'd come along some beaches that are just, they have, I remember seeing a lot of medical waste on the beaches. I don't know why it was medical waste. It couldn't have been some other kind of waste, like, I don't know, plastic water bottle waste, Nike shoe manufacturing waste. You know what I mean? Why is it medical? What makes medical waste float? Actually, come to think of it, most medical waste does float. For example, tubing for, I don't know, IVs. The IV bags, those would float. So I guess that kind of makes sense that a beach, if it's going to be covered with litter, it'll probably be covered with medical waste, including hypodermic needles. Yeah, that's a little eerie when you're walking along in your bare feet and you see a needle there. You're like, okay, that's a little eerie. I don't like that. Even when you're walking along in your flip-flops, because you get sand between your toes, and it's just such a wonderful, gritty, awful feeling of having sand between your toes. But anyway, that's me. I don't like that. But still, flip-flops. It's the African way, And yeah, needles. Or when you're swimming out in the ocean, and you're kind of paddling, sort of floating there, going up and down with the waves, body surfing and stuff. I kind of got used to just hitting garbage with my arms as you swam. It was just like, hey, it's like hitting seaweed, it's just a part of the ecosystem. Ugh. Garbage there, especially in Freetown, and especially after a storm, was a big problem for Mercy ships. So as you know, Mercy ships, giant floating hospital ship. But what they do to cool down the engines on the ship is they intake a bunch of water, and they sort of circulate this water around to cool things off, like oil in an engine. So, all right, use the seawater. That makes sense, to cool down the generators. However, when there is so much garbage in the water, it makes it very difficult for the vents to stay clear. And so every once in a while, we'd have these blackouts in the ship. And that meant that the divers were in the water cleaning out the garbage. And it's nasty garbage. It's not just like clean soda bottles. It's like, on one occasion, I didn't actually see it, but some friends of mine did. They saw a body floating by the ship, as in a human body. Yeah. And so some of the kids were actually out on the deck, and they were like, hey, Mommy, what's that down there? And we're like, hey, come over here, look at this. You don't want to see that. Huh. Yeah, eerie. But that was, for the most part, only after rainstorms, because everything would sort of wash all of the rubbish from Freetown, and it would just sort of cleanse it and push it all out into the ocean. Yeah, so by the way, if at any point you say, you start like hampering on the United States and like, oh my gosh, what an awful country we are very, very clean. Have a little patriotism for a moment, okay? All right. Not to say we're perfect. Yes, we have our fair share of problems. But when you start whining about, I don't know, the K-cups are going to be ruining the environment. It's like, yeah, they're not good for the environment, but there are bigger fish to fry. If you really want to save the environment, go to Africa and teach them this concept of hygiene and where to put garbage. Because culturally speaking, it's just, if you push it out to the ocean, give it a week, and it's gone. Out of sight, out of mind. If you don't see any dirt on your hands, then your hands must be clean. And so Mercy Ships did a lot of education when we were there, not just like medical procedures that we did for kids and adults, but education, like hygiene. Like, this is what a germ is. You can still get sick even if your hands look clean. So wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. Things like that. This is soap. It's really cheap. Matter of fact, we'll give you some for free. This is how you wash your hands. So preventative care. And I think that's really cool that they had that education side of things. Because in the long run, that would probably save more lives than just these temporary surgeries, if you know what I mean. On one occasion, the divers went down into the water. They got a bunch of this garbage and filled it up and hoisted it up, and this local African fellow, he got the garbage from out of the ocean, and he went to the opposite side of the ship, and he proceeded to dump it back into the ocean. We're like, no, what are you doing? No, just put it in the incinerator. And he was like, oh, okay. And we're like, that's why we're drawing it out of the ocean. We want to keep it away from the vents. That's bad. Oh man, and when you got in the water, if it got in your eyes, it hurt. It itched and it stung. So when you went swimming, you tried to wash promptly, or else you'd get some kind of fungus from the water. Sounds like a great place, doesn't it? But hey, as they say, when you're in Africa, TIA. This is Africa.